The goal of this Elden Ring series is to help both new and experienced players get the most out of their playthrough by completing all quests in a proper order so that all choices and rewards are available. We'll also be covering all the content that can be missed or that is otherwise part of a satisfying playthrough of Elden Ring. This guide series will work best when used with a new game or New Game Plus, and I recommend watching it from the start of Part 1 to ensure you don't miss anything important. As usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. I have a quick but helpful tangent before starting. There is a large dragon named Greyoll in Caelid near Fort Faroth, which is easily reached from Bestial Sanctum. Hitting the dragon's tail with a weapon that has the Bloody Slash Ash of War applied to it will kill the dragon in about 5 minutes and reward you with 75,000 runes, or 100,000 runes if you use a gold pickled Foulfoot before striking the final blow. You can invest those runes however you like, but I went with the tried and true Vigor stat to make my life easier. Now let's start with a proper walkthrough where we had just entered Liurnia. First, Bog should appear when you rest at the lake-facing cliff's Site of Grace, and he will now make adjustments to your garments, which is basically a trade-off between weight and defensive stats. Nearby, there should also be a new NPC by the name of Hyetta. She will ask for a Shabriri Grape, and you should have picked one up from the Stormveil throne room just before entering into Liurnia. Give that grape to Hyetta, and in return you'll get the As You Wish gesture. Speak through all of Hyetta's dialogue before moving on. Next, stop by the Church of Irith, grab the Sacred Tear, and speak with Thops, another new NPC. Giving him a small donation will open up some dialogue options about Rhea Lucaria Academy and Sorceress Sellen. Thops will also sell a small assortment of novice-level sorceries. The nomadic merchant near the Liurnia Lakeshore Site of Grace sells a lantern for 1800 runes, and I recommend picking one up if you haven't already. Moving on, you can find a spirit spring a short distance to the northwest that will take you up to the Malefactor's Everjail, where you can defeat Aiden, Thief of Fire, to get one of the legendary incantations, Flame of the Fell God. Travel through the lakes to the Laskir Ruins Site of Grace, grabbing the first Liurnia map fragment along the way. Continue northwest to the Scenic Isle, where you can meet back up with Patchest the Untethered. He offers up some unique dialogue and information if you're interested. One such piece of information is about a girl named Rhea stationed in the pavilion a short distance to the northeast. Speaking with her is necessary to start Blackguard Boggart's questline. Agree to her request and Rhea will task you with retrieving a necklace of hers that was stolen by Boggart. You'll find Boggart the Blackguard boiling prawns outside a shack to the northwest of the pavilion. While you could attack and defeat him to get Rhea's necklace back, definitely don't do that. Instead, just buy the necklace off of him for a small 1,000 runes. It's time to make an important choice that determines the fate of Blackguard Boggart, so you'll want to wait until after hearing this entire explanation before proceeding. After buying Rhea's necklace from Boggart, you can speak to him again and buy boiled prawns, which will progress his quest. Boggart's quest later intersects with the Dung Eater NPC, who we haven't met yet. Now here are the choices. Choice 1, if you buy one or more boiled prawns from Boggart at this point, then he will definitely die later on as a part of Dung Eater's quest. And then we have choice 2, if you hold off on buying any boiled prawns from Boggart until after a specific step in Dung Eater's quest, then Boggart should survive, though I've seen at least one player report that doing this bugged Dung Eater's quest and made it incompletable for them, so go with choice 2 at your own discretion. If you're going with choice 2, I'll be sure to point out once it's safe to buy boiled prawns from Boggart, however it won't be for a while and definitely not in this video. As of now, it seems like the only reason to save Boggart is for sentimentality. If Boggart lives, he doesn't really say anything that would suggest that FromSoft has future content planned for him, and there's currently no special rewards for keeping him alive. Of course I could be wrong about that, so take it with a grain of salt. Not wanting to risk Dung Eater's quest, I just went with choice 1 and purchased a single boiled prawn. Doing so will get you the spread out gesture and open up additional dialogue with Boggart. As a final note, if you wait to buy the boiled prawns from Boggart, you'll still get the spread out gesture once you do buy them. Hopefully that information will help you make an informed choice regarding Boggart's fate. Regardless of your choice, you can return to Rhea with her necklace. She'll give thanks and offer up an invitation to Volcano Manor, though it will be some time before we make our way over there. Speak through all of her dialogue before moving on. Head northeast to the Academy Gatetown site of Grace. You can pick up the second Liurnia map fragment nearby. Then head a short distance north to find Diallos standing over the corpse of his servant Liurnia. Speak through all of his dialogue before moving on. The third and final map fragment for Liurnia is a fair distance to the northwest, near the northern Liurnia lakeshore site of Grace. If you prefer, you can go get it now before continuing on with this guide. While we're at it, if you're in need of smithing stones, you can head to the Raya Crystal Tunnel for smithing stones leveled 1 through 3, along with the Smithing Stone Miner's Bell Bearing 1. Next up, travel west past the fallen ruins of the lake to the Rose Church. You'll find White Mask Varre standing outside. Speak through his dialogue and choose the "they didn't seem right" option. Then speak to him again to get 5 festering bloody fingers. To progress Varre's quest, you'll need to have access to online multiplayer. If you're strictly playing offline, don't worry, you won't miss anything too important. Go to the multiplayer menu and use the festering bloody fingers to invade other players' worlds a total of 3 times. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose these online matches, and the fastest way to get through them is to just use the Finger Severer as soon as you invade. Once you've done 3 invasions using the Festering Bloody Fingers, speak with Varre again to progress his quest. He will give you the Lord of Blood's favor key item and instruct you to soak it in the blood of a maiden. We will get to that eventually, but for now, return to the Scenic Isle. Head west towards Albinauric Village, passing into the large, poisonous cavern beneath Moonlight Altar. You should eventually see a ramp leading up into the village. On that ramp, underneath a stone bridge, you'll find Nepheli. Speak through all of her dialogue before continuing on to the village of the Albinauric Site of Grace. There's another important NPC in the village by the name of Albus. Albus is a short distance east from the village site of Grace. However, there is a depraved perfumer enemy along the way that will need to be defeated to prevent putting Albus in danger. Albus is initially disguised as a jar. Hit him once and only once to dispel the disguise. Speak through all of Albus's dialogue and you'll get the right half of the Haligtree Medallion. Albus will also ask you to seek out a young Albinauric by the name of Latenna, and upon further interaction, he will fade away. Continue through the village, heading across the stone bridge. You should be able to find a gold summoning sign for Nepheli. She will help you fight the Omen Killer boss near the end of the village path. The Omen Killer will drop the Crucible Knot Talisman when defeated. Reload the game and then make sure Nepheli has left from beneath the bridge before moving on. Prepare yourself for combat, then return to Round Table Hold. Ensha will invade at the hold once you've acquired the first half of the Haligtree Medallion. He isn't particularly difficult and will drop the Clinging Bone Fist Weapon when defeated. Afterwards, go to Ensha's original location in the hold outside of Gideon's chamber. You'll find his Royal Remains armor set on the ground, free for the taking. You can speak with Gideon to learn more about what Ensha was doing. Asking about Ensha a second time will lead Gideon to inform you of Latenna the Albinauric's whereabouts. We have a couple other tasks to take care of at the hold. First, find and speak with Diallos. He will mention receiving an invitation to Volcano Manor and about his reasons for accepting it. Head down the staircase near Hugh and you should find Nepheli at the bottom. Speak with her to find out that she's in a state of despair. Then go back to Gideon and ask him about it. After asking Gideon about Nepheli's despair, you'll be able to speak with Nepheli multiple times before she runs out of new things to say. Return to the Scenic Isle and travel directly south. You'll eventually arrive at the entrance of the Lakeside Crystal Cave. From there, carefully make your way down through the Crystal Cave until reaching a boss room at the end. A Bloodhound Knight guards the exit of the Crystal Cave. Defeat it to get the Cerulean Amber Medallion Talisman, then continue on to the Slumbering Wolf Shack. There you should find Latenna and her companion wolf, Lobo. At first, Latenna will be defensive, but showing her the right half of the Haligtree Medallion will soften her demeanor considerably. Agree to Latenna's request and she will transform into a spiritual form so that she may accompany you on your journey. Return to the village of the Albinaurics and travel north out of the poisoned swamps and back onto dry land. Pass by the converted Fringe Tower and a minor Erdtree to reach the Revenger's Shack, where Edgar the Revenger will invade. As you approach the shack, sprint towards the Site of Grace and activate it. In case you die to Edgar, you'll respawn at the shack and can try again. This invader is notoriously buggy, and although he's supposedly been fixed since patch 1.04, just do your best to defeat him the first time around and definitely before leaving this area. Edgar will drop the Banished Knight's Halberd +8 when defeated, along with another Shabriri Grape. Next, we'll make a slight detour back into the lake. Head towards the rocky formations that are to the west of Raya Lucaria. Blue scarabs will be hovering around a glintstone dragon, and behind that dragon is a glintstone key sitting on the ground. You can fight the dragon if you want, or just grab the key and run away. You can try to give Thops this key for his quest, but he will insist that you keep it. As it turns out, there is a second glintstone key in the academy which we will be getting later on. Our next stop is the 4 belfries to the north of the Revenger's Shack. Go all the way to the top of the belfries to discover the Site of Grace, then open the nearby chest to get an imbued sword key. Make your way over to the eastmost belfry, the one with a message on the ground that reads Precipice of Anticipation. Use the imbued sword key to activate the transporter, which will take you to the Chapel of Anticipation where the adventure first began. If you lost to the Grafted Scion the first time around, then you'll need to fight it now before proceeding. It drops the Ornamental Straight Sword and Golden Beast Crest Shield when defeated. Continue on to the chapel and go through the side entrance to get the Stormhawk King key item, along with the Stormhawk Dean Spirit Summons, which is a good summons for players with low FP. As a quick aside, the Stormhawk King is required to complete Nepheli's quest, but hang on to it for now. We're gonna wait to give Nepheli the Stormhawk King until after completing Celavis's quest to keep all options open. Back to the task at hand, drop into the chapel and approach the Dead Maiden, whose blood you can use to soak the Lord of Blood's favor with. You can return to the Rose Church to give Varre the soaked favor. He'll give you the Bloody Finger, a reusable version of the Festering Bloody Finger, and speak with Varre once more to get the Pureblood Knight's Medal. This item is a portkey of sorts and will bring you to Mogwen Palace when used. However, given that offline-only players won't be able to access Mogwen Palace until reaching the mountaintops of the Giants, and given the higher difficulty of enemies in that area, we'll hold off on going to Mogwen Palace until that later point in the game. For now, we'll continue heading northwest. Get to and discover the road to the Manor Site of Grace. Nearby, you'll find War Counselor Iji, a friendly troll with a knack for smithing. Speak through all of his dialogue and you'll eventually get the option Blaidd sent me. This will give you access to the Carrion Filigreed Crest Talisman in Iji's shop. Iji also sells somber smithing stones to help upgrade your weapon of choice. Head further north and discover the main Caria Manor Gate Site of Grace. We're going to hold off on going through the manor until after progressing Rogier's questline further along. For now, head east towards a shallow pool of water. An invisible treasure scarab there will drop the Hoarfrost Stomp Ash of War when defeated, and it may come in handy later. Continue east and find a horizontal stone spire serving as a bridge over to the west side of Liurnia. Cross over, then make your way up to Bellum Church. Here you'll find another sacred tier to upgrade the potency of your flasks. Watch out for the trebuchets as you travel north towards the Grand Lift of Dectus, though you'll want to avoid actually activating the Grand Lift. Discover the Site of Grace there before heading southeast towards our next objective, the Church of Inhibition. You'll first have to make it past the Frenzy Flaming Tower, which is basically the Eye of Sauron. The best way to avoid frenzy buildup is to take cover behind rocks as you approach. As long as the Eye can't see you, it can't hurt you. I'm not sure if you can just continue past the tower without getting killed, but once you manage to reach the tower and carefully eliminate all of the frenzied at the top of it, you'll extinguish the frenzy flame permanently. Afterwards, head south to find the entrance into the Frenzied Flame village. Make your way through to arrive at the Church of Inhibition, and Vyke should invade as you approach the church. Defeating him will reward you with Vyke's War Spear along with the Fingerprint Grape key item. Be sure to activate the Site of Grace in the church and grab the Sacred Tear before leaving. Move east from near the Frenzy Flaming Tower to reach the cliffside tombstones near the converted Fringe Tower. You can maneuver your way down the tombstones to reach the entrance of the Black Knife Catacombs. The knife print is dropped by a secret second boss in these catacombs. To reach it from the Site of Grace, head down the west staircase and continue along the path until reaching a room filled with a series of guillotine traps. You'll need to ride one of the blades to reach the floor above, then make your way down to the end of the path and hit a false wall that is hiding the boss room. Inside, you'll need to defeat a Black Knife Assassin to acquire the Black Knifeprint along with the Assassin Cerulean Dagger Talisman. You'll want to make your way southwest from the catacombs to the Church of Vows. You'll meet Miriel the Turtle Pastor, who can share plenty of interesting tidbits about the lore of Elden Ring. The fountain where absolution can be performed is also located here, and absolution will undo any transgressions made against non-hostile NPCs, but in most cases will not bring NPCs back to life. You'll also find a chest containing the gold sewing needle. We will eventually be able to give this sewing needle to Bog to progress his questline, but that won't be for some time. Moving on, return to Roundtable Hold, show Rogier the Knifeprint, and allow him to hold onto it for further study. Reload the game and speak with Rogier again. After going through all of his new dialogue, he should task you with seeking out Ranni the Witch. At this point, you can talk in secret with Fia about Rogier. If you don't see the dialogue option, reload the game and try again. Doing this will get you a sacrificial twig along with some unique dialogue pertaining to the two characters. Return to the main Caelid Manor gate and begin making your way through, taking care to avoid these spider hands hiding in the ground. From the Manor lower level Site of Grace, head out the southeast archway and continue along the inner castle walls to reach the upper level. As a quick bonus, if you go along the northern wall, there is a rooftop you can jump down onto, leading into the structure where the legendary Sword of Night and Flame is held. Fast travel back to the Manor lower level and then walk along the southern wall to reach the lift that will take you to the upper level. Once at the upper Manor level, it is a short distance to reach the Royal Moongazing Grounds, where you'll need to defeat Royal Knight Loretta to progress, obtaining Loretta's Grape O Sorcery and Loretta's / Ash of War in the process. Head out the northwest exit and make your way over to Ranni's Rise. You can either attack the glintstone dragon that's in your way if you want to drive it off, or just run past it instead. Discover the Site of Grace at Ranni's Rise, then make your way to the top to meet with Ranni. Because Rogier sent you, Ranni will treat you poorly and tell you to be gone. With that done, head back to Roundtable Hold and speak with Rogier about the encounter. Rogier will tell you to serve Ranni to earn her trust, and at that point you can return to Ranni and start her quest. Before being able to leave the Rise, you'll need to go downstairs and speak with Ranni's allies, e.g. Blaidd and Celibus. Afterwards, return to Ranni and speak with her. Following that, if you reload the game, you'll notice that she has gone into a deep slumber. Make your way over to Seluvis's Rise and agree to his request. He'll give you a potion and ask that you make Nepheli drink it. You'll want to avoid doing this for now, as it will turn Nepheli into a puppet and prevent her quest from being completed. We will pick Seluvis's questline back up once Dung Eater has been released from his sewer jail, which will be part of the next video. Near Seluvis's Rise, there's a somewhat hidden path that can be taken down to the balcony that overlooks the Lower Caria Manor Site of Grace. Here you'll find Pydia, the Carian servant. He sells some useful items like a celestial dew and a larval tear. Back at Roundtable Hold, you can speak with Rogier for some final dialogue in which he apologizes. Reload the game and you'll find Rogier in an unresponsive state. To finish his questline, you'll need to try speaking with him and then reload the game a total of 3 times. After the 3rd time, reload the game and Rogier will have dropped his bell bearing along with his Spell Blade armor set, which strengthens Glintstone sorcery weapon skills. Finally, you'll get Rogier's letter, which hints at the location of Dee's twin brother. At this point, Rogier's questline has been fully completed. Moving on, head east of Laskia Ruins to find Hyetta at her 2nd location, near the Purified Ruins. Speak with her and offer up another Shabriri Grape, the one from Edgar. Make sure to go through all of her dialogue, then head to the ruins a short distance southeast. Destroy the wooden planks concealing a staircase and head down the stairs to find the 3rd and final Shabriri Grape. Travel north along the Liurnia highway to the Gatetown Bridge. Nearby, you'll find Hyetta. Offer the 3rd Shabriri Grape and then inform Hyetta that the grapes are actually human eyes. Reload the game and then speak with Hyetta once more until she declares that she will be a Finger Maiden. Fast travel to Bellum Church to find Hyetta once more, and this time she'll ask for a Fingerprint Grape, which we already got earlier. Give it to her, then go through the rest of her dialogue. Hyetta will then move to her final location, which we won't be getting to for some time. Starting from Bellum Church, make your way south to the East Academy Gate, where you can use the Glintstone key to be transported to the entrance of Raya. Rest at the Site of Grace, then head northeast past the Magic Seal. You should find a red summoning sign just a short distance ahead. Use the sign and assist Yura in defeating the Bloody Finger Ravenmount assassin, acquiring the Raptor of the Mist's Ash of War in the process. Upon returning to your world, Yura should be standing nearby. Speak with him and you'll get a Smithing Stone 5 as thanks. Make sure to go through all of his dialogue before moving on. At this point, you'll need to make your way through the academy until you arrive at the debate parlor. There's an Iron Maiden Abductor in the pit at the bottom of the lift near the Schoolhouse Classroom. If it eats you, it will send you to the underbelly of Volcano Manor, which we want to avoid for the sake of not messing up any quests or NPC interactions. The Red Wolf of Radagon boss will need to be defeated at the debate parlor before moving on. Head out the north exit and turn right after walking through the iron gates. Turn right again and jump over a railing, then climb your way up the ladder above the parlor. Jump in through one of the broken windows and head around to the right side to find a chest containing the Radagon icon, one of the legendary talismans. Next, we'll get the second Academy Glintstone key for Thops. Head out the same exit as before and stick to the left, following the path shown on screen. As a side note, I don't fully explore this area, so be sure to do that as you make your own way through. You'll eventually drop down onto the roof of the Church of the Cuckoo. Jump in through one of the windows and drop down to a chandelier below to grab your second Academy Glintstone key. Then drop down to the upper level of the church. You may want to explore this area fully before leaving, as there is a crab that drops a Twin Sage Glintstone crown when defeated, and nearby you can also find Sorcerer Azur's staff and the Shattering Crystal Sorcery. Return to Thops at the Church of Earith and give him one of the Glintstone keys. He'll be overjoyed and you'll get the Erudition Gesture as a reward. Finish up Thops' quest by going to the Schoolhouse Classroom in Lucaria Academy. Head out the northwest exit and wrap around the corner to find Thops in his final location. You can pick up his bell bearing, Thops' barrier sorcery, and an Academy Glintstone staff. In addition, if you return to the Church of Earith after Thops has left, you'll find a scarab that drops the Thops' barrier Ash of War when defeated. And that's it for Thops' quest. Now we'll make our way through the rest of Lucaria. The Carrion Knight can be a pain, but if you manage to keep him off the lift as it ascends, he'll fall into the pit and die, and you'll get the Carrion Knight's shield. Entering into the Grand Library, you'll need to face off with Rennala, Queen of the Full Moon. After defeating Rennala, you can interact with her at the Grand Library to undergo rebirth. This requires a larval tier and allows you to redistribute the attribute points that you've gained through leveling. You'll also get the Balled Up gesture the first time you undergo rebirth. This last part doesn't take place in Liurnia per se, but it sets things up nicely for the next video in this series. First, travel to the Third Church of Marika in Limgrave and head south to the Siofra River Well. Take the lift down to Siofra River and then make your way over to Blaidd's location, a short distance northeast of the Hallowhorn grounds, which is also where the map fragment is for this location. I suggest keeping an eye out for ghost gloveworts along the way. They range from levels 1 to 3 in this area and can be used to upgrade the best spirit summons in the game. Speak with Blaidd about Nokron Eternal City. He will suggest prodding Celavis for additional information. Real quick, the level 3 Ghost Glovewort is right near Blaidd. Just take the nearby Spirit Spring to an elevated area and find the Ghost Glovewort 3 behind a pillar. Next, go back to Celavis and ask about Nokron. This line of conversation will result in obtaining the Celavis' introduction key item. Take the letter to Selen in Waypoint Ruins to learn about Star Scourge Radahn. Afterwards, report back to Blaidd with what you've learned. Blaidd will ask you to meet him at Redmane Castle in Caelid for the Radahn Festival, which you will now be able to start. However, we are going to hold off on defeating Radahn until after completing Celavis' quest. At this point, if you'd like, you can go speak with EG near Caria Manor to learn more about Blaidd and Nokron Eternal City, but it isn't a requirement for anything. Finishing things up, return to Roundtable Hold. Since you've now collected 2 of the Great Runes, speaking to Finger Reader Enia will advance the main story and plot, and will also unlock a 3rd slot for equipping talismans. Next, find Fia and agree to be held. A new dialogue option should appear, May I Ask a Favor, which will get you the Weathered Dagger key item. You'll need to give D the dagger, which will result in his death. That being said, there's really nothing else to do with him. So, give D the dagger, reload the game, then head down the hallway near Hugh to find a newly opened room. Inside, you'll find Fia standing over the body of D, Hunter of the Dead. Pick up the twinned armor set from D's body and make sure to hold on to it. Don't sell any pieces of it, as the entire set of armor will be required to fully complete Fia's questline. Speak through Fia's dialogue here, and she'll move on to her next and final location, which we will get to in due time. And that's about it for this episode. If you're still having trouble within Liurnia, you can reach out in the comments section where I'll do my best to help. I also recommend checking the comment I have pinned, as I'll be updating it with information about specific problems people are having and potential solutions. There are a lot of loose ends right now when it comes to quests that we've started or done parts of in Liurnia. Part 3 in this series will get into the most complicated part of completing the Elden Ring questlines in order and wrap up a fair number of those quests. So if you can, try to hold off on interacting with any NPCs that were featured in this video until you watch Part 3, which you'll be able to find over on my channel. If you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cat, her name's Marshmallow. Another great way to support the channel is through the Marshmallow merch store. It features professional Elden Ring inspired artwork of your favorite fluffball, with a new Ranni inspired design available now. Have a great day. If you're here today, have a great Saturday, and as always, thanks for watching.